Hello, and if you're in the same time zone as us, good morning. You're watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. It's Thursday, November 13th, 2025. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Ted. How are you?
I'm okay. A little tired, but no good reason. Went to sleep at a reasonable time. Just a little sleepy. I don't know. It's the fact of getting old. It's not like I was up. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's one of these small world stories. I'm in Oxford, Ohio, visiting my son, and he asked me like a week ago, "Do you know Mohammed Farag?" And I said, "Yeah." He was the head of the Egyptian intelligence service like 35 years ago. I met him in Cairo, and he said, "Well, his son is my marketing professor, and he wants to meet you." And I said, "I remember him. He was a little kid when I was there. He's like 7 or 8 years old." So we all went out to dinner last night. It got late. That's why I'm so beat.
Oh, well, at least you have a good reason. You know, partying in Oxford, Ohio can go way past 8 o'clock at night. So it can get pretty crazy there. Hunter Biden even couldn't handle it. So at least I wasn't up all night reading the Epstein documents, which I suspect our president may have spent part of the evening doing, although he's probably already seen them all.
Yeah, he probably has. I just figured there were all kinds of people who were already going to do that, so I wasn't going to bother.
Yeah, no, that's the way I look at it too. Although sometimes, you know, what amazes me is when there's a huge data dump. You know, it's almost like it's worth going through it yourself, because stuff that I find interesting is often left on the cutting room floor when it ends up in the New York Times or the New York Post or wherever. So
that's exactly right.
All right, so obviously we'll talk about Epstein. The Congress is in full-fledged chaos over this. Who's to blame? Who are the real pervs, etc. Over in Israel, worth talking about is the violence in the West Bank. The President Herzog condemned it. I guess better decades late than never. And definitely the lead topic that we put in the thumbnail is just because I don't miss any chance to use a sombrero in graphics. The Trump organization has hired almost 600 foreign workers at Mar-a-Lago golf clubs, Virginia estates. You know, and so we got to talk about that. You know, is this a reflection of the fact that it's actually really hard to find American workers, and even someone like Donald Trump, whose politics run counter to this, are like this, or does he just is this just another case of the rich and powerful doing what they want, and what they say to us is not necessarily how they live their lives? John, what do you want to start with?
You know, I think we probably should talk about the situation with the Epstein files, because it's becoming unwieldy. It's spinning out of control. So we know, thanks to these new revelations, that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were emailing each other back and forth, saying that Trump knew that these girls were underage. He never did anything with any of them, but he knew that this abuse was going on and didn't speak out against it. That's very unfortunate, but it's not a crime. As awful as it is, it's not a crime. They called Trump a scumbag, which is no big deal either. My bottom line here is this didn't make me love Donald Trump anymore. I've never loved Donald Trump, but this didn't change my mind. But it didn't make things worse for Trump. They don't allege any crime, even in their private, email communications. So here's the way things stand in the House. The House does have the 218 votes for the discharge petition. It's out of Mike Johnson's hands. He has to allow it to come to the floor because they went over his head with the 218. Mm-hmm. But that's not necessarily going to change anything, Ted, because then the Senate would have to vote to release the Epstein files, and then Donald Trump would have to sign it. And he's not going to sign anything that's going to embarrass him or tarnish his image or his reputation. So this is all another Washington tempest in a teapot that nothing is going to come of.
So basically, what's come to be known, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but what's come to be known as the Epstein files, there's really two batches, right? So what has just come to light as a result of the discharge petition is what was under the control of the House Oversight Committee. But that's not the same, it's not a duplicate set of the documents currently being held by the Department of Justice, right?
No.
And those documents.
No, that's correct. This is a different set.
So potentially,
this is a different set.
So potentially, there's other knowledge, either exculpatory or incriminating, or neither, that are there. And obviously, Donald Trump's not like even the primary target here. I think everyone's sort of, you end up with a witch hunt in a situation like this. Ethically, I mean, it is really interesting to put yourself in that position. And I kind of feel like we all, at some point, I mean, everybody learns about law breaking at some point on the part of other people around us, whether it's coworkers or friends or whatever. And there's the question of whether you should step forward, and then whether you could step forward. I mean, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that Trump decided that he did know about what Epstein was up to, and he wanted to do something about it. What would he do, really?
Yeah, what would he do?
I mean, who would he call?
I'm just not sure where this is taking.
We don't live in East Germany. I mean, it's not like you can call the Stasi and they drag off the pervert into the middle of the night. Nothing happens, right? I mean, you just yesterday, you mentioned a couple of cases where someone called the cops and no one gave a shit. And that's sort of normally what happens, right? I mean, the cops it's like, well, I'm aware of a crime. Okay, what evidence do you have? Well, someone told me. That's hearsay. We can't build a case on hearsay. Oh, well, I have it on good authority. Okay, we can't build a case on that either. I don't blame the prosecutors. I don't blame the cops. There's nothing really that you can do in a situation like that. I mean, I drove a taxi in the 80s, and one of my fellow taxi drivers, bragged about raping a drunk woman in the back seat of his cab. Okay, we all thought he was a turd, and we all hated him, but what could we do? And he could have been making the whole thing up. And what do we do? Call the NYPD and say, this guy raped says that he raped okay. Well, saying that you raped someone isn't a crime. It just makes you a weird ass liar. So there's just sort of, I mean, it's that whole, I think there's an assumption there that if you see something, say something, will result in something. And I don't think that's a valid assumption at all.
Yeah. I have to agree. It's the society that we live in now.
Yeah.
So anyway, sure. I think nothing serious is going to come of this Jeffrey Epstein thing. Now, the Washington Post today has a piece in which they say that this is the only issue that seriously and solidly divides Donald Trump from his base. Remember, it was the MAGA base that was the first political faction that we have in the country to shout for release of all the documents. It was a campaign issue. And it's one of these issues where it was the street that dragged Trump to the policy position.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason why he ran on a platform of releasing all of the Epstein files. And then he changed his mind. And people don't trust the reason for changing his mind.
No, I mean, look, it's entirely possible that his assessment is simply like, not, I personally didn't do anything, but I was around bad things that happened. It smears me, it tarnishes me, it smears and tarnishes people who I have a vested interest in, or who I used to be, or am still associated with. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I think people have been speculating about this in a very simplistic way, when it's anything but simplistic. I mean, I can come up with a myriad of possible motivations for Trump just preferring to put this behind him, not least of which is politically, you're the president of the United States. You have an ambitious political agenda, clearly, whether you agree with that agenda or not. And you don't want to spend the next 3-6 months or whatever, just talking about this old shit that you didn't have much to do with, but your old party buddy was involved in.
Yeah, that's right. I want to thank Double D for the $4.99. Double D says, I hope people realize that there will be foreign names on the Epstein list. I think some Arab higher-ups. There are foreign names on the Epstein list, and I think there are probably going to be lots more foreign names on the Epstein list as they continue to leak out. But we've known for a very long time that former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak was a regular visitor to Epstein Island. We know from the release yesterday that Barak's chief of staff was another one who was a regular at the island, and there was some evidence yesterday of money being exchanged too. So yeah, I agree with you. There are foreign names on there. I spoke with. Okay, I'm gonna break a little news right now. So I spoke yesterday with a woman who used to be the chief of business development for Giuliani Partners. She's suing Rudy Giuliani for sexual assault. And she told me that she has thousands of pages of documents that were emails between Giuliani and Epstein. And she's just waiting. She's offered them up to different news organizations. She offered them up to the investigating committees on Capitol Hill. Nobody cares. And so she still has them. But she said that there is another British prince besides Prince Andrew who is implicated, who was also at the island. And there are other former heads of state whose names have not been made public.
This is a tough question. And John, I won't be at all offended if you don't answer it. But did you find her credible?
That's a good question.
You don't have to answer
her. No. I find her credible in that I believe that she believes the information is correct.
Right.
She's very difficult to get along with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because she's been traumatized.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Just crippling PTSD. It's sometimes, yeah, she's very tough to carry on a conversation with.
There's a funny conversation in the chat about whether or not we are gay. I used to have a radio show in LA, and we had an open mic day, and one of the questions that would always come up, my voice was higher then. It's not exactly low and baritone-y, but it was always like, are you gay? And I never answered the question, because to deny it is to be like the apostle who denies Christ,
right.
before the cock crows 3 times. It's like sort of like saying that there's something wrong with that, to quote Seinfeld.
Right. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all.
Anyway. I'm not gay. I think my 2 wives and 5 children would likely confirm that. But I don't care if anybody's gay. It's none of my business.
I give no shits where people put their junk. Mr. B Malarkey 9219 says that Drop Site News is publishing all of it. I suspect they're referring to all of the Trump. All of the Trump. All of the Epstein files. I don't know what we're talking about here.
Maybe I should start reading Dead Drop. I've boycotted them because they all
Drop
came
Site.
from, most of them came, or Drop Site, right? Drop Site. I boycotted them because most of them had come from the Intercept, and I just freaking hated everybody at the Intercept with what I think is very good reason. Scahill is not bad, I guess. Grimm is good.
Yeah, Scahill is, however, the most boring writer in the English language. I tried to read his drone book, which I was obsessed with drones.
Oh yeah,
and it was just like, oh my god, like, dude, like, it would have been less boring. I mean, if this was years and years ago, but if ChatGPT wrote the book, it would be a major improvement.
Yeah, but they do have some important, breaking news every
for
once in a
sure.
while.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
See,
I mean, their origin story is just very, flawed. The Pierre Omidyar influence is toxic, and
yeah,
I don't understand. Oh, by the way, John,
yeah,
I have to thank you
agreed.
for sending me that email that you got from the LA Times. Oh my God. How fucking funny is that?
I knew you'd like it.
Oh my God. So John, do you want to describe it? Because you got the email, or I could do it, whatever.
Yeah, I got this automated email from the LA Times yesterday saying, hey, we're going to go public. Do you want to get in early on some insider shares? Minimum investment is only $5,000, and it entitles you to a 25% price discount when we release our IPO. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not interested in buying shares in a failing newspaper. But I sent it to Ted. I thought he'd get a kick out of it.
Well, not to mention it's so ghetto, right? I mean, it's like, so I thought the whole point of a billionaire buying a newspaper is that it doesn't have to worry about money. And so I guess if it's a fake billionaire, then they do have to worry about money even more. But Dr. Pat Soon-Shiong is like out, like, with his tin cup, begging for money from the likes of us. And while we're begging money from the likes of you, by the way, please follow, and share the show, and help us support and help us make a living here. We do have some ads, so I probably should go hit one. Well, let's see. What should we do? Do we want to do Caddis Sports, the cooler? We want to do. What do we want to do? Do we want to do Perplexity? That one seems to pay well. Ooh, ivermectin.
That one's I'm loving the Perplexity people these days. Let's do Perplexity.
All right, let's do that one. All right, let's do it. Here we go. Oh, come on, Perplexity. Where are you? Okay, looking for smarter ways to browse and enjoy your favorite content without ads? Get the Perplexity Pro bundle with Rumble Premium for just $19.99 a month. When you sign up before December 31st, normally a $29.99 value. With Rumble Premium, you'll get an ad-free viewing experience across all your devices and access to exclusive premium content. No interruptions, just the video and streams you love anytime, anywhere. Plus, Perplexity Pro boosts your productivity with unlimited research, unlimited uploads, exclusive member perks, and access to the latest and most advanced AI models for faster, smarter answers every day. Save over 30% on this powerful bundle. Head to rumble.com/premium before December 31st to sign up and unlock your premium experience. So speaking of premium content, John and I are going to be recording a couple of Rumble Premium episodes. If you are not yet a subscriber, you will be able to unlock the life stories of John in 5 parts, of me in 4 parts, and of Robbie in 1 part. And also, we're going to be doing episodes about movies, books, music, all sorts of stuff like that. So stuff that's a little bit off the beaten path here for the regular show, a little bit less serious, a little more relaxed, letting our hair down. So, you might want to check that out. So, oh my God. So, but the LA Times thing's just cracking up. And by the way, if you really want to burn through $5,000, better to give it to a homeless person. I mean, seriously, because you're never going to see that $5,000 again. No, I mean, LA Times is doomed,
6 years ago, 7 years ago, I got one of those same automated emails from Mercedes-Benz.
Oh, wow.
And it said that they were, I drive a 14-year-old Mercedes-Benz, but they said that they were offering bonds to all Mercedes-Benz owners, and they were going to use the money for XYZ development of their new electric car system. And there was a guaranteed return of like 5.25% or something like that. So it was like very slightly better than what you could get at the bank at the time. That I would have done if I had an extra $5,000 that I didn't care about. But the LA Times, like you said, the whole point of the billionaire buying the Times is so that he can save it. So what? Now we're supposed to replace his money with our own, so that when it finally does go down the drain, The billionaire gets to keep his money, and the little guy loses his money.
That's precisely it.
Outrageous.
Thank you, F.U. So, for the buck. What's our favorite Thanksgiving food? His or hers is stuffing. John?
Yeah, you know what? I got to go with stuffing, but it has to have gravy on it. I go hot and cold on the turkey.
I despise Thanksgiving food. Everything, cranberry sauce, turkey, hate it all. I'm an alt Thanksgiving guy. Like, give me a ham, a steak, pasta, anything else. But for traditional stuff, I got to go with pumpkin pie. I do like pumpkin pie.
Ted, I was in college before I realized that not everybody had like a table covered in Greek food with the turkey in the middle.
I would have much preferred that.
I said, that makes sense. We're the ones that that have Thanksgiving with all Greek food. Like, it's funny, when you're a little kid, it's the normal thing. And all my life, I grew up thinking that everybody just has all Greek food with a turkey.
That's funny. I mean, I would have just ignored the turkey and just been like, oh yeah, give me that Greek salad. Get me everything else.
That's right.
God, that's pretty funny. All right. Well, so where does the Epstein thing go from here before we move on? I feel like right now it's sort of like, it's sound and fury signifying very little. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Everybody was looking for a smoking gun. They were waiting for a smoking gun. This is not the smoking gun. One of the commenters said in the chat, 2 scumbags call another guy a scumbag. Okay, big deal. It's not news. And the bottom line is, even they are not accusing Trump of having done anything with these girls. Yes, he should have said, something's going on at this island. All these girls are underage. Of course, he should have said something. But he didn't do anything to them.
But also, it's not new, right? I mean, because there's the pretty well-known quote where Trump said, like, oh, we have a lot in common. We both really love beautiful women, but difference is that Jeffrey likes them really, really young. I mean, come on, we know that he knew.
Yeah, of course.
When you hang out with a guy as much as he did, you gossip. I mean, Bill and Hillary Clinton knew. Everybody knew. They had to have known. And I guess the question is, to what extent is it anybody's business? I mean, hell, he'd already been prosecuted and let off the hook by the authorities. Yeah. And that's, that's something that we ignore here. I mean, I don't want to sound like an apologist for the president, but I've got to say, if I were him, if anybody really put him on the spot, he could say, listen, the authorities had their chance and they decided not to give a shit. What did you want me as an individual private citizen to do about it?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
I mean,
hey, if you don't mind, before we move on to the next, there are a couple of things I wanted to raise from the papers today. So Reverend Jesse Jackson, everybody, of course, remembers Jesse Jackson. I never particularly cared for him, but he was diagnosed back in 2015 with Parkinson's disease. And he said at the time that this was a disease that had felled his father as well. It runs in families. My dad had it. Lots of my relatives had it. And he was diagnosed with it in 2015. 2 years ago, he was diagnosed with something more severe, something called supranuclear palsy, which is like Parkinson's on steroids. And he was hospitalized in Chicago yesterday. He's 84 years old. His prognosis is not good. There's no cure for this. And you end up, if you don't fall and hit your head, which is how my dad died, you end up choking to death because you lose the ability to swallow, or from pneumonia, just because your saliva collects in your lungs and you can't get relief from it. So I fear Jesse Jackson is not going to be around very much longer. That was one thing. The other thing, and it's less important, but
by the way, it is important before we let Jesse go. It's important to comment on, the extent of his political achievement when he ran for president in 84 and 1988.
88, that's right.
he carried a bunch of states in the
Yeah, he
Democratic
did.
primary
In majority white states.
as an insurgent, black,
That's right.
left-wing, progressive candidate. I would
Yes.
argue to the left of Bernie Sanders.
I would agree.
And you know, an unapologetic black politician, preacher, you know, activist, and you know, like you, I kind of am a little bit reserved about him, but I think there's no. And by the way, full disclosure, I did vote for him in the primary in 1988. So I do, you know, I mean, you got to. I mean, and also he was there, like he's in that famous photo of MLK dying on the balcony. He's one of the guys. I mean, he was right there when he was murdered.
Coretta Scott King always kept him at arm's distance, because that day that MLK was assassinated, the famous picture where everybody's pointing at the room, as soon as he was shot, Jesse Jackson was about 15 feet away from him when he was shot.
Yeah.
When he was shot and he went down, Jackson went over to him, put his hands in Martin Luther King's blood, and then smeared the blood on his shirt to make it look like he had been like right there when it happened. The next day, he went on Good Morning America and he was still wearing the shirt.
Oh, so he was trying to be Jackie Kennedy, except she came about her gristle honestly.
Yeah, and Coretta King never forgave him for that.
If that's true, that's one of the most disgusting things, and bizarre. Prasmataz is asking if Jesse Jackson was the FBI informant. Of course, you know, obviously King was spied upon ruthlessly by the FBI for many years. Is that I don't know the answer to that question.
I've read that it was not Jackson. It was the older guy from the Southern, what was it called? The Southern Baptist, the Southern Christian Leadership, whatever.
Yeah. So
it was the
conference.
Yeah.
Huh. Anyway, all right. By the way, this is so funny. I'm going to put you on the spot. This is mean, and you know, we can take him off if this is a problem. But Elon Musk did arguably more for humanity than even you. If you don't like him, can you at least make your best case for it?
For Elon Musk? No, I'm not going to make a case.
No, for not. I guess for not being for disliking Elon Musk.
Yeah, I think he's been bad for the country. Nobody's worth $1 trillion. Nobody. You can't possibly do anything that is worth $1 trillion. No.
I mean, he's a super interesting dude, and you know, I can make the case for it or against him. But I will say, anybody who designs a car that doesn't have exterior door handles that allows the firefighters to break you out in case your car catches on fire is kind of like missing a screw.
I know, right? That's true.
All right. Well, you had something else. Oh, Al Sharpton, according to US XXX, A-Rod was an informant, maybe not the informant. I believe that. Yeah. Lisa Mojica says SNCC. Yeah, the Southern. What is it? The Southern something. Oh God. Anyway,
Christian Leadership Conference. Southern. Yeah. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Oh my. BL Ake. Thank you for $50. Here's some cash for tolerating my annoying commentary. Obviously, you guys aren't gay. I was a conscientious objector from the Army Infantry in 2009, and John is my personal favorite American hero. Thank you so much. You were a conscientious objector. I read an absolutely wonderful book, long out of print. A conscientious objector with whom I was friendly. He's since passed away. He sent me a book that was published in like 1972, maybe 1973, from his personal collection, and it was just a series of interviews with conscientious objectors. Some of them had gone to Canada, others had been arrested and imprisoned, and the stories they told were harrowing. I think it was even in many cases more dangerous, more physically, personally dangerous for them to have been a a conscientious objector, and then be sent to an American prison, and not some club fed, like a real honest to God prison, and then have to deal with, like, I remember one of the interviews was a guy talking about fending off what they called in prison the sisters. It was the guys who were situationally gay. They would just rape the new guys. Whatever new guy happened to be in, they were either going to beat you to a pulp or they were going to rape you, one or the other.
Good times.
So every day it was another fight for this poor guy. So being a conscientious objector is a very brave thing to do.
I had a roommate, not a roommate, a classmate in at Columbia. It was 1981, and Carter had just started draft registration, and Reagan had just become president. And like me, he refused to sign to sign up for draft registration. But unlike me, they came and found him, and unlike me, when they came and found him, he refused. So they sent him to federal prison for 5 years. And that's the penalty still. And they take away your financial aid if you're in college too.
Wow.
So I mean, it's and I was just like I was impressed because there was no publicity, nobody cared. It was never in the newspaper, and he didn't care. It was just like, I'm just not signing. I'm just not doing it. I won't. You can't make me, and I'm not gonna. I think he also faced a $10,000 fine too.
Wow.
Which was a lot of money at the time for an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. And in those days.
Psychonaut 25, thank you for the $1. As an autistic guy, I see the flaws in myself and Elon magnified into billionaire level. Yeah, F you so $. Thank you for the $. Did you discuss politics with the mob in prison, John?
Yeah,
what were their views?
Politics a lot.
What were their political views?
Politics. I had dinner with two of them in Philadelphia over the weekend. They love Donald Trump. They love him. And I think it's because being a real estate developer in New York, of all places, you're going to have daily contact with the mob. They control everything. They control the concrete union, the union that makes windows, the steelworkers union. They control everything. And you've got to deal with these people if you want to build buildings on your building
That's why
sites.
Trump had those connections. He had to.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, they love Trump. There's no two ways about it.
Marble 455, thanks for the $4.99. Guys, I didn't know this. The president of Israel can pardon the prime minister, Netanyahu, but only if the request letter came from the victim or their family. That's a little bit reminiscent of Sharia law, where the victim or the close relative of the victim can either mitigate or forgive your sin, your crime.
Yes, exactly. And at first Trump just asked the president of Israel. Now he's actually written a formal letter asking again the president of Israel to pardon Netanyahu. I think this is something that he promised Netanyahu he would do during.
But he doesn't have standing. Trump doesn't have standing, right?
No, zero standing. Nothing standing.
It would have to be a victim of Netanyahu's corruption.
And the Israeli people are the victims of Netanyahu's corruption.
Right. So any Israeli taxpayer could probably have standing.
I don't remember who I was talking to earlier this week. It may have been on my other podcast. We were talking about, in the 5 or 6 weeks before the October 7th attacks, Netanyahu's government was on the verge of collapsing. And there were people in the streets. Remember, they even had to shut Ben Gurion Airport because there were such massive demonstrations. People couldn't get to and from the airport. They just shut it down. And then October 7th happened, and it unified the whole country, at least briefly. And Netanyahu's still around. I have been saying in podcasts that Netanyahu has never, ever received more than 27% of the vote in any of his campaigns for prime minister. He's the longest serving prime minister in Israeli history. And somebody challenged that the other day and said, that's ridiculous. Israel loves Netanyahu. I went back and looked at it, and I was wrong. It was not 27%. It was 24.3%. Was the most
Close
Netanyahu
enough.
has ever received.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So to be anti-Semitic, if you criticize Netanyahu, is a red herring that is being foisted at us.
Well, then, at that rate, the people of Israel are all anti-Semites. $2 contribution from Real. Thank you. Gentlemen, please share thoughts on Epstein helping to sell Israeli mass surveillance software to the Ivory Coast in 2014. He was much more than just an investment banker, yeah?
Yeah.
I would say he was a financial fixer, would be the best way to describe it.
I would agree. I like that. And I would say, I would reiterate my earlier position that Netanyahu was an access agent for the Mossad. I mean, that's what everything points to that. Everything that he worked for Mossad. You know, I saw, what's that idiot's name? Andrew Bustamante the other day on some interview, and he's looking right in the camera and he's saying definitively, Jeffrey Epstein was working for the FBI. He's clearly an FBI informant, FBI agent. It's like, you don't even know what you're talking about, FBI. The FBI is not going to run a pedophile against former presidents and world leaders. The Israelis certainly will. The Israelis certainly will, because then you can get them in compromising positions. You can use blackmail, which we don't use, but the Israelis use, and get them to give you information on, you know, how the policy sausage is made. They're all connected. FBI. Ugh.
John, while we're talking about Israel, and I don't think this is worth a lengthy discussion, but is it worth noting that the president of Israel, who could, as we noted, forgive Netanyahu, pardon Netanyahu, he's coming out. The president of Israel is supposed to be like the moral center of the nation.
Right.
And he's not really powerful. He's more of a figurehead. He's like, kind of like the king of Thailand. Right.
Yes.
Has a role like that. And anyway, so Herzog stepped forward and condemned the settler colonists in the West Bank for, running rampant, where they've been, attacking Palestinians in their own land and stealing their land and trashing and vandalizing and committing arson and rape and murder too, and robbery. Basically they've been completely operating with impunity. The IDF just sort of stands by and smirks. It watches the whole thing either directly with their arms crossed or from drones, right? Like watching the whole thing. They have drones everywhere on the West Bank. I guess the question here is, and finally there were a few arrests. That's like almost never happens. How important is this? I mean, it seems like the war in Gaza, the world's attention is off that in light of the sort of tentative ceasefire. And now people are starting to pay more attention to the West Bank. But the West Bank has been a hot zone for years, but that no one was paying attention to. I'm just like trying to figure out the symbolism of this. Does it resonate? It doesn't really resonate internationally, but does it resonate domestically?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. Hey, a couple of other things too in the news. I meant to text this to you last night. Did you happen to see this announcement out of the State Department that we're not going to allow fat people to apply for immigrant visas anymore?
Yes, or tourist visas, I think.
Or tourist visas. So fat people can't come to the United States, period. And
right. No fatties allowed.
No fatties allowed into the fattest country in the world. And
so
today, there was a report that, no, it's beyond that. So yes, no fatties are allowed to apply for visas, but you're not allowed to apply for an immigrant visa now if you have cancer or diabetes.
Well, we did have a long no AIDS policy. For tourist visas, right?
Decades.
John, I was meaning to ask you this question. So visas are bilateral, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they're bilateral.
So doesn't that mean that like now other countries have to ban fat Americans?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they could absolutely do that. Normally, what that means, the agreement that we have with virtually every other country in the world. It's called the reciprocity agreement, the visa reciprocity agreement. So normally what it means is we'll let the other country set the price of the visa.
Mm-hmm.
If the visa is free for Americans, then our visas are going to be free for you guys. The Indians charge us $100, so we charge the Indians $100. The Chileans charge us $100, we charge the Chileans $100.
Mm-hmm.
Which made me so mad when I landed in Chile.
Although sometimes they deny that. Sometimes, like other countries, like when I went to Russia once, the visa was $400, and the Russians said, no, that's not us. That's the Americans doing that to us, because the Americans were trying to keep Russian mobsters from coming to the U.S. in the 90s.
Oh yeah, $400 is going to deter them. It's great. Yeah,
very poor mobsters.
But in this case, certainly any country can decide if the Americans are going to make you get on a scale when you go to the U.S. Embassy to apply for a visa, then we're going to make you get on a scale. Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, seriously, that's going to put a major crimp on tourism. And like, nobody even knows what the standards are. I think even if you're skinny, I mean, come on. I'm not the thinnest guy in the world. I've lost some weight lately. I'm happy about it. But but seriously, why wouldn't everybody just say, fuck you, fuck the United States, go fuck yourselves and your cheese curd in Wisconsin and your fat fucking president who obviously doesn't own a mirror, and like, fuck you guys, fuck you all. I mean, isn't that kind of like, that's what this is asking for?
It's coming. It's coming. Already Spain and France are coming right up to the United States in the number of tourists every year. And, every year we're number one. Always. We're always number one. And we're not going to be number one anymore. Hey, I wanted to add one other little micro news piece. I saw this yesterday in one of the local papers here in Southern Ohio. I didn't realize yesterday the U.S. Mint made the last penny.
Mm-hmm.
The penny is no more.
It is no more.
Yep.
As a collector of not just political buttons, but also coinage, I understand this. Coins. I mean, like, for example, I remember when France went through this, when they got rid of this, when they still had francs, and the centime was, 1/100th of a franc. A franc was roughly 1/5 of a dollar, and the 1 centime coin was literally was worth 1/5 of a U.S. cent, and it was a cute little tin coin. And I was kind of like, why do they still have these? And of course, this was I believe in the late 70s or early 80s, France abolished the centime coin, and the 5 centime coin became effectively the penny, the smallest. And I don't know if 5 centime coins or 5 cent coins still even exist in France. They might be down to the 10 euro cent coin. But it does seem, it's a sign of inflation, right? I mean, it costs 4 cents to make a penny. They're a pain. I understand the case against them, but we've had coinage that we've abolished over the years. There used to be 3-cent coins in the 19th century.
Yes.
The $2 bill comes and goes.
Yes.
There was fractional currency. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how resonant is the symbolism for you?
Yeah, actually, the symbolism is more important to me today than I imagined it would be. I kind of feel bad about the penny. It's been around forever, and now listen.
It also eliminates Abe Lincoln from our coinage.
Yeah, it does. It does. And this new Trump coin that the Treasury Department approved. Did you see this? It's the first coin ever by the U.S. Mint to have the person's face on both sides,
and to be of a living person.
Yeah, and to be of a living person.
I mean, it's a commemorative coin. It's not like a mass circulation coin, but still.
Yeah.
Soden 2324. Sorry, we missed your initial question, and we have 2 questions in the feed. Thank you so much for the 1999.
Thank you.
What are our thoughts on Candace Owens? And would you appear on her show? And why am I warming up to Marjorie Taylor Greene? She might get an invite to Thanksgiving. Well, I'm definitely warming up to Marjorie Taylor Greene as well.
I am too. I said that this week on another podcast. I can't believe I'm finding myself in agreement with Marjorie Taylor Greene, more often than not.
Would you go on Candace Owens' show? I would.
6 months ago, I would have said absolutely not. And today I say absolutely yes.
How come? Why the difference?
I don't know. It's like she became sane all of a sudden, like overnight. She stopped talking about the lizard people and the, aliens and all this stuff. And I don't know.
I'll pretty much go on with anyone, especially if they have a decent sized audience, unless they prove themselves to be like untrustworthy, or they're going to sandbag me, or want to talk about something that they said that they didn't want to talk about, or that I didn't want to talk about. I mean, generally, I just show up and I'm willing to talk about anything. But like, for example, I won't go on with Hannity because I was invited to go talk about a controversial Gary Trudeau cartoon. And then I was like, okay, so this is about Gary Trudeau, not about me. Yes, you're sure, 100%. And of course, immediately when I got there, he turned it against me. I was ready because I know what a lying sack of dung he is. But I'm not, but I mean, I'll never go back because it's just like, that kind of behavior can't be rewarded.
That's exactly right.
Also, so Soden 2324, thank you. Additionally, for $9.99,
thank you.
John, will RFK be invited to the Schlossbergs for Thanksgiving? Wonder what that dinner conversation will be about. Will it be cordial, or will the knives be out? Sorry again for missing your first question in the scroll here. It's a little bit easier to not miss these once Robbie's back on Monday.
The knives are already out. Jack Schlossberg, the grandson of President John F. Kennedy, announced his candidacy for Congress yesterday in the Upper East Side and Upper West Side district, currently represented by Jerry Nadler. Jerry Nadler said, I'm too old. I'm in my 70s. It's time for a younger generation. And he decided to retire. So kudos to him. Schlossberg jumped in. There are 2 or 3 other people running, like a city council member and some state representative. Schlossberg's going to win that seat. But he has come out very strongly against his, depending on how you look at it, first cousin once removed or second cousin RFK Jr., strongly against him. And I read yesterday, it was actually the family member that wrote the press release saying we condemn RFK Jr. So I think there's going to be another candidate in Congress next year. I read that since 1946 we've gone only 2 years without a Kennedy in an elected or appointed office. Since
that's crazy.
1946. Yeah.
Phil Chat 78 wants to know what we do when we're not deprogramming, dead dropping, or writing. I guess asking about hobbies like collecting.
Well, I'll tell you, speaking of collecting, my son and I, day after tomorrow, are going to go to his favorite antique gallery in Indianapolis. Indianapolis isn't far, 2-3 hours from here. So we went last year and we bought every bit of Lincoln memorabilia we could find. There was one that I left behind, and it was a hunk of wood from the gallows where the conspirators were hanged.
No way! That's so cool.
And
that's like a Jesus relic. It's like,
right?
Like a true cross.
And it had the provenance with it, and it had a what do you call it? An authentication.
Mm-hmm.
But it was $600, and I didn't want to spend $600. And I'm hoping it's still there.
Sometimes I will leave a note with someone and just say like, hey, no offense, I can't really afford $600, but if you ever see your way clear to maybe letting it go for less, please give me a call. By the way, there's 2 really great antique barn kind of places on Interstate 70 near Springfield, Ohio, not far at all from where you are.
No.
Fantastic. And also there's a little, I forget the name of the town. It's not Cedarville, which is a great town, but there's a town near you that has a lot of antique stores.
I'll check it out. On 76, right outside of Akron, there are a couple of really terrific antique malls right on 76.
Yeah, I've done that. That's on my way to my college drop off and pick up also. Totally. Yeah, I know that drive very, very well. It's a bleak part of the state. It's a bleak state, except for Cincinnati, which I love.
You gotta love corn.
Because that's all you do. So what do we do? I like to bike, and reading is my number one thing. As you know, I read a lot of nonfiction.
I do too. Movies.
Yeah, I love movies.
I watch a lot of movies.
Yeah, movies and TV and stuff like that.
Hey, and now did I tell you about the letter I got from the Screen Actors Guild?
Yeah, but go ahead. Say it. Yeah, I don't know if we did it. We talked about it here or not.
So they sent me a letter saying that they wanted to confirm my mailing address because they want to ship me the box of all the DVDs of all the Screen Actors Guild Award nominees so that I can vote for the Screen Actors Guild. Very exciting. I've never been able to do something like that before.
Soden is claiming that we didn't really answer his questions about Candace Owens and stuff. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, true? I would definitely go on Candace Owens. Definitely. She's got a wide reach. She's not as crazy as she used to be. I still disagree with a lot of what she has to say, but yeah, I would definitely go on Candace Owens.
And in terms of the Schlossbergs, I think, I don't know. I can't answer a question I don't know the answer to.
Patrick Crabtree, what gallery is it? I live only an hour from Indy. I don't know, and I'm going to find out. I'll ask him the name.
I'm having recall. It's driving me crazy about the antique town in Southwest Ohio. But it's a town where basically there's nothing but antique stores. If you just
I would definitely do that.
Grok it, you'll find it. You kind of have to choose the right day of the week. Like Saturday is probably the day to go. But okay, so let's talk about these foreign workers. So I have to say, if we had Robbie here, we'd pop him on. He'd go on a mad tear about this.
Yeah.
The Trump organization requested 184 H-2A and H-2B visas for Mar-a-Lago, the golf clubs, and the Virginia states, and so on, for farmhands, housekeepers, servers. That's up from 121 in 2021. Total of 566 so far. He went on Fox, and the president went on Fox and just basically said he can't find anyone good to work. MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, says this is bullshit and it's wrong. Yep. And I agree with her on that. Look, if you pay people enough money, you can get them to do any job. And anybody who doubts that, I will point out the fact that you could hire Americans to do asbestos removal. You can find Americans to mine coal. You can find Americans to work in nuclear power plants. Okay, so Americans will work suck up carbon monoxide, collecting tolls on highways. Americans will do all sorts of shit that is very unpleasant, but you have to pay them. And I don't know. I mean, it's like, is it really possible when employers say, it's like when you have a friend who says, "Oh, I can't sell my house." I'm like, well, you can't sell your house for what you want for it. I bet if you sold it for $10, you could sell your house, right? So similarly, when an employer says, "I can't hire anyone," well, you mean you can't hire anyone for what you want to pay. That means you're not really in the market. You're off the market. You need to hit the market. And if you can't afford to pay people, it means you can't really afford to be in business, or you can't afford to hire these employees. I mean, that's my take. But I want to be fair. Is it possible that really, truly, there's really no Americans to do these jobs, and you have to find foreigners? When you go on a cruise or you go stay at a resort in Florida or anything like that, everybody's always from some foreign country, right? They're always on one of these like H-2A visas.
Absolutely.
But the hypocrisy here is really rank, considering that this is the most, anti-immigration president we've ever had.
Yeah, but this is not new. This was an issue in the 2016 presidential election, that he does this every year, not hiring Americans, looking for cheaper foreign workers. Every year, the Trump organization would bring these people. When I was married, we used to go to the Outer Banks of North Carolina every summer. We love it there. It's clean, it's green, beautiful. We never encountered an American lifeguard. We encountered almost no American store clerks, shop clerks, waiters and waitresses. They were all from Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova, all over Eastern Europe. And it's because they work on the cheap. And the State Department
the working conditions blow, right? Like on a cruise ship, they work ridiculous hours.
Yeah. And they're all living in group houses. So you put 8 or 10, 12 people to a house, pay them the minimum wage, and then send them back at the end of the season.
They're disposable.
Yeah.
I'm so against this. I mean, as long as there's one underemployed or unemployed American, this should just not be permitted.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. Like, we have people who are literally, I mean, we have people who graduated from Harvard Law who can't find a job. We have people who went to MIT, who are like, oh, you're coding, you're 40, you're a coding dinosaur, and they can't get a job. I mean, it's outrageous. And I guess Trump's base isn't going to hold him accountable for this, right?
I don't know, man. They let him get away with so much as it is. I'm not sure that they will let him get away with it.
Phil says, can we agree that anti-immigration is actually progressive? Importing unlimited foreigners destroys culture, which I think is more of a right-wing concern. Not that it shouldn't be a left-wing concern, but I think just it is. Destroys supply and increases demand, all while reducing access to needs. Look, I agree with that. I've been against this kind of unfettered importing foreign workers is something I've been opposed to. I mean, I'm on the record for favoring a border wall back in the 1990s. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
FU, thanks for the buck. Merchant Marines officers are American while the crew are all Southeast Asians.
That's a good point, too. Yeah, that's a good point, too.
I mean, although I do think we should have as many fat tourists as want to come to the United States as possible. It's very fucked up. I mean, and seriously, do you think Trump doesn't know that he's overweight?
I think that he probably deep down believes that he is overweight, but thinks that nobody can notice. Nobody has picked up on it yet. Like you never really realize how fat you are.
I mean,
I think so.
I totally think I'm fat as shit. I look at the mirror, I'm like, oh my God, what's with this waddle?
This is new, just in the last 12 months. I don't know where the hell this came from.
Really? I don't even see anything. At least you have a chin. I have several to choose from. Yeah.
Hey, before we leave, I'm very proud to say that my cemetery book is coming out on March the 24th. It's called Remains of the Day, a definitive guide to Washington, D.C.'s historic cemeteries. If you go to rarebirdlit.com, it's there for pre-order, but for signed pre-orders. rarebirdlit.com. And very I'm cool. Sitting in this hotel working on book number 9, The Whispers from the Grave, the Mafia Graves of New York City. So that'll be done soon, too.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a good place to end it. I'll do my pitch for my most recent book, What's Left? Never Mind the Democrats. Go to rawl.com and check that out. And I'll sign it for you if you buy it through rawl.com. Anyway, please follow, and share the show. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And we're here every Monday through Friday. Please stay tuned. We will be, I'll still be on the air with Manila Chan for the TMI show coming up right at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock Eastern. And if you're in the Rumble Room, you'll just be magically whisked away there. And then I have 3 hours of straight talk this morning. It's Thursday, which means it's time for the DMZ America podcast with Scott Stantis. We'll be interviewing Salt Lake City Tribune cartoonist Pat Bagley, who actually fled the United States for Portugal because of Donald Trump becoming president of the United States. So, John, see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.